Hi folks, Fernbark here. Today I'm going to unbox and go through, do a little review on the M18 brushless 7¼ inch circular saw. Now this is their brushless model, and it's the 7¼ inch, which is a little bigger than what you get in most of the kits that include a circular saw. So most of the Milwaukee kits include a 6½ inch, and a lot of the other brands have a 5½ inch. Anyhow, I'm getting ready to do a lot of projects where I'm going to be cutting a lot of 2x4s and doing some other stuff. And the brushless technology and the bigger blade on this is what I'm really hoping is going to make things a lot easier for me. Anyhow, I'm going to cut the tape on this guy. So there's no battery with this one. Got a blade, some directions, which I'll read later. The saw. Wow, this is big. There's the saw. And a little propaganda. So I'm gonna get, I got some batteries that are charging, and I'll put the saw blade on and we'll see how this baby works. To put the blade in, it's pretty straightforward. Just going to take the wrench out of this holder right here, which is actually in there pretty good. And then there's a button right here that you push in to lock the blade. Oops, I'm tightening it. There we go. And you just loosen her up. Okay, that spindle is actually two pieces, so it comes apart. This is going to stay down here. It's pretty straightforward. You're just going to pull the guard open. Slide the blade in, and it's pretty easy to tell if you got it in right, because I don't know if you can see it, but there's an arrow right here, and then there's an arrow on the blade right here, and you just make sure they're both facing the same direction. One of the nice things about this unit is you can flip this up, and then you can vary the depth of your cut, and it's super easy to do. You get it where you want it, just lock her back down, and away you go. And then of course, if you want to do angle cuts, you just loosen up this knob right on the front, and then it's got a gauge on there, and you can just adjust it to whatever angle you want to make, although it's probably going to be 45, but anyhow, it's whatever you want. And that's pretty easy to operate too. Another good feature. On the left is obviously the Milwaukee 4 amp-hour battery with their red lithium technology, which is really just not anything more special than anything else. And on the right is the Ryobi 4 amp-hour battery. This weighs 1 pound 9.3 ounces. This weighs 1 pound 9.6 ounces. The weight is almost exactly the same, and you may ask yourself, wow, what a strange coincidence, but not really a coincidence at all, because both of these units are almost, for all intents and purposes, the same exact thing. It's basically just a bunch of these stacked up inside of here to make 18 volts, and then you just add more of these to get different amp hours. So that's why this unit is twice as tall as this guy. It's just another row of batteries on top. So the thing I find aggravating is that, given that these are almost identical internally, it really is a big jip to us consumers that the only difference is the way they plug in to the device. If this was universal, life would be so much easier if you could make different tool choices without having to go, oh, I don't really want a new battery technology. But anyhow, that's where we are. And another one of my unfair comparisons I'm going to be comparing this Milwaukee fuel brushless saw to my 15-year-old Ryobi that's got a 5.5-inch blade. Now, I have no real complaints about my old Ryobi, other than it sucks batteries like they're free, and the 5.5-inch blade. And I'm going to demonstrate why you're going to want to get a saw with a much larger blade on it. Oh, also, another kind of interesting comparison point, the Ryobi weighs 6 pounds, 14 ounces with the battery in it. I couldn't get the weight on that Milwaukee because it weighed more than my food scale was actually able to measure, but the manufacturer says 8.99 pounds is the tool weight, and then you add another pound and 9 ounces for the battery, so it feels quite a bit heavier when you're picking it up. It's going to be interesting to see what that's like using it all day. So it cuts through there. Oh, just to make things fair, I did put a brand new blade on here. So at least both units will be working with a brand new 4 amp hour battery and a brand new saw blade, even though this unit itself is pretty old. But yeah, that goes kind of slow. Now, give the Milwaukee a shot. And that's why you want this saw. See how fast that goes? Oop, my sawhorse is too short here. I mean, it just blitzes right through there. And this one, not so much. There is one thing about this saw that I don't particularly care for, and maybe it's just because I'm not used to it yet or not, but if you notice with my older saw, if you're right-handed, and I'm actually left-handed, but I always use my right hand to operate power tools, the saw blade is on the left side where you can see it easily by just tilting over a little bit. Now if you operate the saw with your right hand on this unit, then the saw is kind of on the wrong side, for me at least right now, to see it. And I don't know if that's just something for me. I went and looked on the at different brands and different models, and actually every other saw that Milwaukee makes, it's set up like this one right here, where the blade's on the left hand side and this one's on the right hand side. So maybe I'll just get used to cutting with my left hand. I don't know if there's some advantage to why it's like this, but right now I don't care for it that much, but I'm not sure that it's a deal breaker. We'll see. Alright, all in all, I'd have to say that right now I really like this saw. One of the things I like about it is the battery's so much easier to remove than my old saw. The weight is a little more, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal. And just getting used to this being on the other side, that's going to be really the hardest thing. So we'll see in the long run if that turns out to be a big deal or no deal. So I don't know, you might want to look at that when you're in the store and see if that's going to be a problem for you, looking down the right side of the saw to see how you're cutting. If it is, maybe you might have to pick a different brand. Or you can still get the Milwaukee, you just can't get the 7.25 inch. You'd have to step down to the 6.5. The 6.5 has the blade on the other side, but this one doesn't. But other than that, man, this thing cuts like a dream. So, thanks for watching. Hope this helped you out.